Our last video in section 10.7, we're going to talk about the distance formula and midpoint formula. You might have seen this before in a previous class, but we can find the distance between any 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, given this formula. What really this formula is just a fancy Pythagorean theorem. It's an a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and we've just solved for c, or d in this particular case. What we're doing is we're finding 2 points and the distance between those 2 points by looking at my legs of my triangle if I were drawing a right triangle to connect those 2 points. So we can find the distance between any 2 points by doing this distance formula. We have the distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. It's really just Pythagorean theorem. But make sure you know this formula so you can use it and apply it on your homework, your chapter exams, and even your final exam. All right, let's look at example number 7. Let's do a distance formula 1. Find the distance between the point -5, 1 and the point -4, 6. Find an exact answer and an answer to 3 decimal places. So using our distance formula, we're going to take the square root of x2. So let's label these just so I don't accidentally look at the wrong number. This is my x1 and y1. This is my x2 and my y2, my x and y of my second point. So x2 minus x1. My x2 is -4 minus my x1, which is -5. You notice that I have a negative and a negative. The opposite of negative is positive, right? The 2 negatives make a positive 5 there, so be careful with that double negative. And then we want to square that quantity. Plus, I have my y2, which is 6, minus my y1, which is 1. And I want to square that quantity. Let's make sure that we follow the correct order of operations, and let's do inside the parentheses first. So I have -4 plus 5, which is 1, and then I have 6 minus 1, which is 5. I want to square both of those. 1 squared is 1, 5 squared is 25. I want to add those together, and I end up getting the square root of 26. Now, there isn't an even square root of 26, or a whole number anyway, but I can give that as an exact answer, or I can use my calculator and figure out approximately what the square root of 26 is. I ended up getting 5.099. That's the distance between these 2 points. All right, what about midpoint? What if I want to find the middle between 2 points? Well, if I have 2 points, I can find the midpoint by taking those 2 points, adding the x values, and dividing by 2. Taking the y values, adding them together, and dividing by 2. That'll give me a new x value and a new y value that happens to be right in the middle of those 2 original points. All right, let's do one and apply that formula. Example number 8 says find the midpoint of the segment with endpoints at -2, 3 and 4, -6. Remember, midpoint means that I can find the middle between these 2 points. I can add up the 2 x's, -2 plus 4, and then divide it by 2. I can add up the 2 y's, 3 plus -6, and then divide it by 2. -2 plus 4 is 2, and then I have 2 divided by 2, which is 1. 3 plus a -6 is a -3, and then -3 divided by 2 is just -1.5, or -3 halves. So the midpoint between the 2 endpoints that we discussed is the point 1, -3 halves. Make sure you know all of those different formulas. Distance, midpoint, your special right triangles, Pythagorean theorem, so that you can apply it in all different types of problems